Hi, Tash.
Hey, Michael, how you going?
Oh, good. We're back again. We're back
Back
again,
again.
and this is our third session.
Yeah.
I
Third.
suppose our third chat. The first two are really introductions to instinctive meditation, uh, giving people a really broad overview, I suppose, of where we've come from, and also the four little rules that we've created. Just you and I, because we don't really want to say they are the rules of meditation, but
Mm,
these are rules that we've come up with to sort of help people develop a practice that they can really thrive in.
yeah.
So if we just quickly run through those again, um, the first rule is no internal spanking. You know,
No inner spanking. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no inner spanking. We want to really embrace everything that happens when we meditate, and that comes out of the fact that we know that when we be with ourselves for a little while, that our mind's going to think stuff.
Yeah. So
Life's going to happen. We
don't
don't
judge yourself for having a mind that works.
exactly. We should really be celebrating it and applauding it, embracing it. So this,
Yeah.
yeah. Too often people are told, well, if you've got thoughts in your meditation, then there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We want to really wash that away, untrain that thought pattern in ourselves and in people that we're working with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was
If there's a guru, run away from the guru. So, to thine own self be true is what I often say in my classes. Excuse me. Uh, if you're being told this is the way to meditate and it doesn't feel natural for you, it kind of goes against your grain. if
yeah,
and it just feels like yeah, something is being imposed upon you, it doesn't feel natural, then most likely it's not for you. And could have you end up feeling quite depleted and drained. And so if there's a guru telling you this is how you meditate, no, you're doing it wrong, my way is the right way, and you have a little inkling, a little rebelliousness that questions it and senses that it's not right for you, then honor that.
yeah.
Do thine own self be true.
Yeah. There's another little aspect of that too. I think I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm going to give you these instructions,"
Mm-hmm.
but I don't do that anymore.
Yes, I've
Yeah,
had.
I'm a bit higher than as a beginner. This is what you do as a beginner, and then as you move up through the levels, then your practice changes. What a load of trollop.
Yeah, and whilst I agree that we build and develop skills in our meditation journey, they are by no means a hierarchical set of skills and hierarchical levels that we are working towards ascending. And
No.
there are some people who've had zero meditation training, but are, thriving in a meditation practice,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then others who may have committed and dedicated years of, study and retreats and workshops, yet are, drying up inside. you know,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
juice and the
Yeah.
life of them is just draining out of them. So everyone is different, and we deeply respect that in this style, that everyone is completely different. And in my opinion, that there's nearly 8 billion people on the planet, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot, and there's probably at least that amount of meditation styles and techniques that are out there. Probably many, many more, because I believe we should all have many different tools and techniques as an individual. So it is unrealistic to suggest that this is how you meditate, this is the way. And the training that I've been through with Dr. Lorin, Roche and Camille, it's based on his research of interviewing countless hours, countless people, and almost 50 years of training and study and practice of understanding what works for people who have a healthy meditation practice.
Yeah, yeah. And that honoring of the individual as their inner authority, their inner guru. Run away from the person who puts themselves up as a guru and put yourself on the pedestal.
Yeah.
You are the queen, you are the king of your own realm. You are the one who chooses. You might engage someone with a little more experience to help you to understand what's happening.
Yeah, some coaching, you know.
Some coaching, yeah. But to have someone tell you from on high, this is what you need to do, and this is the way that it works, is something that we're certainly not practicing.
No.
Run away from the guru.
And number 3 is rule number 3, if you don't feel like meditating, don't force it. It should not be something that that feels like a chore, feels like something that you need to tick off on your list. No. And you loathe it. It shouldn't be that way. And if it is, most likely I would suggest you're not doing the meditation that works for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so if you don't feel like meditating, maybe do something else. Put on a piece of music, go dancing, go out in the garden, go have a glass of wine with a friend and laugh and chat away.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that makes you feel alive and nourished, you know.
Yeah. It is interesting that you say that it's nourishing, right? That it makes, that it fills you up. Yeah. Don't want, like we said before, there's some practices can be desiccating and drying up. We want to fill ourselves up with richness and a juicy life. Yeah. And the 4th rule: be fiercely tender with yourself.
Fiercely tender. Hold yourself gently in your meditation practice. Hold yourself as you would hold a precious newborn baby, or something that's really, really fragile and delicate. To hold yourself that way, with tenderness, with love, with compassion and grace. It can be a bumpy journey, this journey of self-discovery. Wounds can come kind of undone and open. The tender parts of our soul, our aching hearts can really become quite can be revealed to our inner self. And in that process of healing, when we're healing, wounds need to be healed. It's so important that we are kind and compassionate to ourselves.
Yeah. We have to be brutally honest about this practice. It's transformative. And being called to it means that you are looking, you might not realize it, you might not understand it, but your soul is calling to heal and move forward.
So it's brave and it's
Yeah,
courageous to walk the path of intimacy.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. With yourself, and then as that opens up, you're opening up to the world around you, whether you're opening up to your dog more, your cat more, your children more, your lovers more, the president of the United States more. You know, as you're open, part of it hurts.
Yeah, yeah.
Part of it hurts. And when that baby that we're holding ourselves that tenderly, we're just rocking that little baby and soothing it and doing everything and cooing to it and saying, I love you that much. I'm just going to hold you and hold you and hold you until it doesn't hurt anymore.
Mm. And you used a word earlier, cherishing, and I think this is a beautiful way to kind of frame this rule of being tender with yourself. It is a way to cherish the life force flowing through us, the way that life is expressing itself through us, which
Yep.
might be through past hurt and pain, and it's a part of being human. Well, if you want to walk the path of intimacy, and if you want to have a life that is rich and full and meaningful, then we must embrace this full spectrum of emotions. You know,
Absolutely.
all,
Absolutely.
all of
Absolutely.
them.
All emotions. And let's start to look at the different things that we're going to start talking about.
Sure.
We're going to embrace all of the emotions that we
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Embracing desires.
We have desires.
Yeah, we
There is,
should not deny them, or, you know, it's a part of living in the world. You know, you're not a monk, I'm not a nun. And, you know, in this life, I have desires, you know, whether they come in the form of maybe material things, but achievements or experiences. There is desires within me. Of course, they can't all be met or achieved, but one really important aspect of a healthy meditation practice is to embrace those desires, acknowledge them, give space for them in our practice.
yeah.
And they almost go hand in hand with emotions. I think, you know, emotions and desires are so intimately linked.
Look, I think if we look at a list of sort of topics that we can talk about over the next several weeks, you know, and go into greater detail, there's nearly a hierarchy of things that happen with us as human beings, you know. We are sensory beings, yeah. So we have these doorways to perceive the world, you know. So we're going to talk about our senses, you know, as ways to experience the world, but also as ways to experience meditation. We were talking about Patanjali a couple of weeks ago, you know, and one of the 8 limbs of yoga, of Patanjali's yoga, is pratyahara, which is in some yoga circles, it's a closing off of the senses to the outer world.
Yeah.
But when we look at the actual word pratyahara, it's not necessarily, it's Sanskrit in a scholarly way. It's not necessarily closing off the outer world. There's an internalization of the senses.
Yeah.
You know, there's a drawing in. That doesn't mean that we're not seeing, not hearing, not tasting, not smelling, not feeling. Our senses are engaged fully in our practice.
Yes. And in
But
fact, the more you can employ your senses in a meditation practice, the better, I think. it's encouraged anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we're actually engaging all of those senses.
Yeah.
And there's many more than just the 5 senses that we talk about, that we were taught at school. There's lots more senses than those.
Yeah, there is. We have all these interior receptors and that are, really, really intricate parts of being able to function in life, having a sense of balance, having a sense of being able to detect changes in our pH, the blood oxygen content, lung inflation. Like there's so many, and we won't go into them in detail, but so many more. And it's just this rich playground for which we can explore when we're in meditation. And so we've got our exterior senses and our interior senses. And then there's also sense memory.
Exactly. And we might use the above in a meditation, right? Or whatever which we talked about last time. This doorway into our meditation, and we say, well, if you think about something that you love, when you're thinking about something that you love, how do you do that? I love sitting at the beach and diving into the water. How do I do that? Sense memory comes in there, and I feel the heat of the sun on me. I feel the sand under my body. I feel the wind blowing in my face. I smell the air. I hear the crashing of the surf. And then when you dive under a wave, you feel the rush of the water running over your body. So it's this initial invitation to do something you love. If we infuse it with our senses, then we start to really build a really full, rich experience, right?
Yeah. So the senses, desire, emotion, these are all kind of skills that we're working on throughout the ongoing journey. So elements is another sort of area that we look at, the elements, adapting to the elements and recognizing which ones we might be drawn to at any one time, which one we sort of affiliate with different phases of our day or our week or our life. And so we cover that, and there's lots of different perspectives on the elements, I guess, from different teachings, Eastern, and I'm certainly no expert, but like the Chinese might have wood, metal, wind, fire, rock, and so we definitely go into that in more detail along the way, looking at how we can infuse our meditation practice with our orientation to the elements.
Exactly. And we got to acknowledge that we're elemental in nature, right? If we look at that, I suppose if we take the elements that Lorin and Camille are using as an example with us of air, water, fire, earth, and space, and we look at our relationship with all of those things and how we relate to all of those things, it just gives us another viewpoint, another perspective in which to relate to ourselves.
Another tool.
And the way that we relate to the world around us, What am I most drawn to? Am I drawn to the water? Am I drawn to air? Do I love sitting around a campfire? Or do I just love lying on the ground and looking at the sky and being enveloped in space, So, and it's about developing an awareness of ourselves, and it's just another way.
Yeah, and it could be supportive. It could be supportive of, ways to find more nourishment or more balance. It might be, what am I lacking in my life, or what am I craving? What am I deficient in? And you might be able to relate that to the elements. You know, maybe I need more fire, maybe I need less, maybe I need more fluidity, or maybe I need more solid grounding, earthing, and all these qualities, which we'll definitely expand on as we kind of pull apart the different skills and techniques in the next few weeks.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we have got a practice here called instinctive meditation, right?
Mm.
So it would be remiss if we didn't touch on what are the instincts that drive us.
Yeah.
You know, what is it that's driving me? Why do I desire that? What's the mammalian and reptilian instincts that are here in the back of the here in the brainstem down here that we don't give too much thought to? You know, we want to reproduce, we want to eat, you know, and then how those build up into our desires.
Yeah.
And it's understanding really how we function out of the fact that we're alive and we have an instinctive nature.
Yeah.
And being able to be in that.
Yeah.
Without spanking ourselves about the instinct to fight for ourselves, the instinct to run away,
or to bond,
or to bond with people,
or to
want to, but to realize and honor those when they arise in us. The instinct to tuck away and hide away and retreat, to rest, you know.
Yeah. And so, you know, we're in meditation where you can at times receive this kind of instinctual wisdom. We can sort of tap into these little messages from ourselves, and we strengthen that connection to that instinctual wisdom, and then we can use that as almost like an inner GPS, like a guide with which we can connect to, and then move through life and make decisions and act and speak with a stronger connection to that, our deep instincts, our instinctual wisdom. It's there and it wants to be heard, and we build the skills and the tools of being able to truly deeply listen and honor and respect it.
And look, these can come when we're in a meditation practice, right?
Sure.
Something comes up and you feel it. There's sensations that come with it. And emotions come up, and you say, well, why am I feeling that? What was the desire that's being met or not being met?
What's beneath it? Yeah.
What was underneath that? What's underneath that feeling? What's underneath that emotion? What's the desire that was there? What isn't being met? What is my instincts, natural thing that occurs? What's being challenged here?
Yeah.
You know, and so as we talk over time and as we coach people through this, they get to understand that whatever arises is based out of their nature, and is based. It's coming out of nature, and they're feeling it. They're feeling where things are not quite right. And you're able to trace it back and say, I really don't feel at home. Or I have a hunger for. And in that, there's that building of wisdom that comes out of that.
And we
inner wisdom.
Learn to articulate, you know, we can label and explain and articulate what's going on. And when we're, you know, connecting more deeply to this instinctive wisdom, respecting and honoring our cravings and desires and our innate elemental
Yeah.
We in turn become more empowered, and we're more deeply connected to our inner authority, and so this leads to sovereignty,
Yeah.
another skill that we're developing along the way, reclaiming our inner power. And again, I think it's quite linked, and I think we spoke about it in the last session, of honoring the inner rebel, and to thine own self be true.
Yeah.
Reclaim your inner authority. There's a lot of focus on sovereignty, and for this one, it can be really quite, confronting for men and for women, and building down and breaking down and walls that we might have had to put up, or conditioning that we had to create. And there's almost a process of unlearning when we're going through the process of claiming sovereignty, self-sovereignty.
Yeah. There's really a really good practice here of learning what it's like to say yes and what it's like to say no out of your own inner wisdom.
Yeah.
And in a meditation practice, you get to practice this over and over and over and over again. You might have had a shitty conversation with the boss yesterday and go into your meditation practice through your bhavana and whatever, and it comes up, and you get the opportunity to hold that tenderly, to be tender with yourself, not smack yourself around. And you get to run scenarios through and play them out differently, as if you have your own inner authority, as if you have a little bit more inner strength than what maybe what you acted out yesterday. So this practice gives you the opportunity to run things over and over and over and over again. Something will come up and then it'll go away. Then something will come up and it'll go away. So you've got this rhythmic cycle that happens where life comes up, you address it, is out, and then you come down and you have some relief, and then something else will come up.
Yeah.
And you get the opportunity to replay it, to choreograph it differently for next time. And then you come into a bit of restfulness, and then something else will come up. So within our practice, there is this rhythm. There's a rhythmic cycle that people think that they're falling out of meditation, that they're starting to think, and then they might have a little bit of rest, and I'm meditating now because I'm resting. And then their subconscious brings something up. What we know is that this is a natural rhythm of meditation. So we'll probably we'll talk more about that as well.
Yeah, rhythms. I think it's that even within a 1 minute meditation, we can cycle through different phases and stages, and again, not hierarchical. It's not linear. We can flit from one to the other in a, without any particular sequence. But there is change. There's flux and change and rhythms, and when we learn to embrace that and ride those rhythms, again, it's very empowering, deeply liberating to acknowledge that, this is my meditation practice. This is the process of the intelligence of my mind and my body going through its process of self-healing and restoring and remembering. And so there's all these little steps along the way, but just being able to witness and celebrate and even love the flow of my inner rhythms in itself is very, very powerful skill that we can develop.
Yeah, for sure.
And so
for sure.
rhythms that leads us on to syzygy, which I also think is quite, they're all connected. We're not talking about these individual skills. They all weave and morph in and out of one another. But we could talk about syzygy now before we kind of wrap up this session.
We can, and we can also talk about mantra and mudra.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Because what do we naturally do?
We talk with our hands.
There is an intelligence in our movement that is beyond our verbal comprehension. Yeah. Yeah. It's beyond that verbal comprehension where if we listen to what our body says, we know that we have in yoga these mudras which are supposed to create certain movements of energy when sitting in meditation. But this could be a mudra.
And so if you're listening to this, Michael is moving his hands, and you know, if you notice, like maybe when you're in conversation with a friend or a lover or a child, notice that often they instinctively create these hand gestures that might be a supportive tool that we could weave into a healthy meditation practice. So recognizing that, yeah, we can spontaneously create mudras or hand gestures or hand movements that, yeah, can support a healthy meditation practice.
Absolutely. And with that, again, returning to that bhavana meditation, right? If we were to think about a word, something we want to infuse ourselves with, what does that look like in our body? You know, what does love look like? What movements do we make with our hands or with our body as we say, I want to infuse myself with love? For some people, it might be drawing into their heart. For others, it might be expanding out into the world.
Yeah.
You know? The same word with the wisdom of the body, watching the wisdom of the body can have two very different meanings. You know? So as we practice more and start to understand that the meditation isn't sitting still, but there can be a movement in our body that comes with the infusion of what we love into us that is unique in our own. When we start to recognize it, Helen, I'm drawing my hands into my heart, or I'm drawing circles with my hands, or I'm creating the infinity symbol with my hands as I talk about syzygy and flow and rhythm. These are unique to people, but sometimes they're archetypical as well. But an awareness of this flow of energy that's coming through our body that goes with the emotions and the desires and the instincts and the elements and the senses. All of these things are wrapped up together.
Yeah. Yeah. And syzygy, just to wrap it up, we could sort of succinctly describe it as this flow of opposites. And you know, we'll elaborate on that, but to just think of polar opposite moods, experiences, thoughts, energies, and that we can often flow between them, and sometimes quite quickly within even a very short meditation, and to acknowledge that that's normal, that's healthy, that's a part of you know, a typical meditation, that we can, for example, in one moment feel, you know, really, really calm, really relaxed, really soothed, and in the next microsecond feeling the opposite, feeling maybe agitated, anxious, you know, discomfort.
Yeah.
And then we can morph and flow between them.
And syzygy is this love relationship between the two of them.
Yes.
And as the hands are flowing from side to side. That we get to recognize that we will not get stuck in one end and we won't be stuck in the other, nor should we try to stop in the spot in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, nor should we be seeking equanimity. You know, but we look to embrace the flow from state to state and fully experience with intimacy the full extremes of what it is to be human, to cry like hell and to laugh like hell, to sleep like a baby and to be energized like a kitten that's just woken up from a good sleep. You know how a cat will bounce off the walls, a little kitten will bounce off the walls. To recognize that we can flow and experience all of these states. That's part of the syzygy of this practice as well.
And minds are curious things. And you know, I often say, well, if somebody, you know, might articulate to me that they're kind of hanging out in this one aspect of a syzygy, and it might be, you know, unpleasant, and my question might be, well, is that interesting for you? Does your mind find it interesting? Because there's always choice. You can hang out there and stay there and maybe, you know, mend and fix and review some things that need to be repaired there, if that feels supportive. Or you can, you said you might not want to sit in the middle, and we might not want to be, you know, trying to force that equanimous mind. But if it's interesting, play with it, have a kind of playful, curious attitude, but it shouldn't be an end goal, you know? To be more kind of spacious and go, oh, let's see what this feels like if I try to hang out here. But to recognize that as there is flow and there's rhythm and there's change, there is also a lot of syzygy within us and without, you know, outside of us as well. And this is natural, this is normal, this is healthy to experience them all and to fluctuate between them.
Absolutely. And my experience of syzygy is different to yours. So I might have on one end of the spectrum calm, right? And my other side of that, I might express as joyful. But someone might say calm and something completely different.
Yes.
On the other side of it. So we get to again say, what's your experience of syzygy? Not mine. You know, what's your inner guru understand that your flow is? Not mine. What's your inner guru tell you what your desires are, what your instincts are, what your elemental preferences are, what your senses are telling you, you know? And
again, this is, you know, again, why one of the reasons why I just love this practice so much is that it is so deeply respectful of the individual and your inner intelligence. And so that's probably a really good place to wrap up, because I just want to say, I respect you. I respect you. I hear you. And this has been fun.
It's great. It's great. Love it. Love you doing this.
We'll expand. We'll expand in the next chat.
On one of those aspects.
On one of the skills, one of the elements, the aspects of a healthy meditation practice. We'll start to unpack them, pull them apart, and hopefully give you some skills that you can use in your own practice.
Thank you, Tash.
Thank you so much.
It's been fun again.
Okay. Bye, Michael. See you.
Bye-bye.